open the door for conflict, the political enemy will come in. I give you the assurance that we will find peace. We will convert this tragedy to prosperity. Police, I hope your men are on alert to listen to information. How come no arrest has been made? I expect there should be arrests of those criminals. The value of life, human life, is greater than that of a cow.
All right, I follow those in the room to applaud the president for asking the pertinent question. Yes. Why has an arrest not been made? That's the question I asked when this thing happened. Who are these people? Who are the perpetrators? No one's been paraded at this point. We're hearing our brothers and sisters dying every day. Not one arrest, because if there was, the president would know. Vimbai.
And no clues either, no indication of anything. And, you know, often they'll say that, oh, these are security issues, so they can't publicize it. But like you said, if the president is now asking what's going on, it now begs the question, what is really going on the ground? He made several interventions during his speech. Some may regard as controversial. Some received a lot of applause. So one of those interventions, the president spoke about the need for a radio station to preach tolerance, because in his own estimation and based off of the reports he has, he said he feels this is a political problem. He actually used the quote that politics is local, and he was speaking to the governor and saying these are political issues you need to resolve. And you know, there's questions around that, because if you speak to people in Benue, and I know later you'll highlight some of the other speeches that were given on the day that indicate that there are different views about what's going on the ground. So that's why, you know, when we ask for the president or any leader to go to the ground, it's not because we're being noisemakers or we're being busybodies. It's because sometimes the reports that you get, and when you go and experience it for yourself on the ground, the realities may be different. I hope off cameras there was deeper engagement, because what we saw at the stakeholders forum was more, you know, of speeches being given, but we expected to see more of like a town hall, an interaction. Yes. So I hope off camera they were able to do that and give their own, especially the royal father of Tiv, the tour of Tiv. Yeah. He had deep information around what's going on, and I continue to say this is not new. Remember the controversy during President Obasanjo's era when he was president around Benue State and the massacre that followed around this area, and it was ethnic driven. It was the Tiv, the Jukun, the Idoma, and various political players around it. So one might also speculate that given the president's speech yesterday around the politics of it, he's insinuating that those political dynamics of that time may not be completely gone, which is why the military can't go in as as aggressively as we would like them to see, because we saw what that led to in 2001. That ended up being a massacre. Who are you fighting? But hopefully yesterday in that engagement, by the time we saw a few hours later, he traveled back to Abuja. I hope in that period some meaningful engagement and valuable information was exchanged that can help the strategy to counter this once and for all.
For the benefit of our viewers who are just tuning in, let me read out what the short clip of what the Tor Tiv had said during the meeting. The Tor Tiv V, His Royal Majesty James Ayashi highlighted the severe nature of the ongoing killings in Benue State. He emphatically stated that the violence in Benue is not merely a farmer-herders clash, but a full-scale genocidal invasion and land-grabbing campaign. That's exactly what he said. I mean, he is, an indigene, and he has experience, he has information from his clan. And, I think as we continue to highlight the story coming out of Benue State, the collaboration between these communities is, I think, most paramount at the end of the day, really. Again, we'll take kudos to our president for going to visit. I mean, he has shown leadership. Let's head over to Enugu State now to highlight this video. Nursery and primary school pupils of Ugowoye Primary School in Nsukka local government area of the state were left stranded in their classrooms as flood waters took over the school premises. Let's quickly take a look.
Who know the local government chairman? This is just right. This is time to speak up. Yeah, the question Jesus Christ. Man, go to classroom. See.
This is the aftermath of the flood. I mean, areas like these are very sensitive, especially where our children are learning. Adefemi Akinsoya, I thought it was important to highlight it again for that school and for the state government to look into it because, I mean, our children deserve to learn in a safe and conducive environment.
Absolutely. So we are calling on the state government to do something about that. Children deserve a safe and secure place to be educated, especially in a place like Nsukka, which has such a great reputation for educational prowess.
Absolutely.
So it is quite heartbreaking, really, to see this happening. And then even when the water's dry, the classrooms are completely obliterated, papers, books, completely destroyed. This is just not good enough for people anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. Really a sad incident. Visual to see at this point. So we do call on the state government to, address this flooding in that school. Should we head over to India now? Vishwash Kumar Ramesh, the British man who was the sole survivor of last week's Air India crash, has helped lay his brother to rest. His brother, AJ, was also on the ill-fated flight, but did not survive. A visibly upset Ramesh was one of the pallbearers who carried his brother's coffin to the crematorium in the town of Diu, with his arm and face still covered in white bandages. Let's take a look. This is such a sad scene. I mean, this video has since gone viral. Vishwash Kumar spent most of the past 5 days in the hospital. I mean, when we saw this sole lone survivor, as I would call him, we were so, amazed. We couldn't believe that there would be one survivor. I mean, his story has been, going around social media. The news has been highlighting the dramatic way he escaped the incident, and now he's laid his brother to rest. Really sad incident, Rufai. I'd like for us to just quickly touch on some of the reports that we have learned as to how he survived the crash.
I mean, it's just stuff of miracle.
Yes.
He was just meant to be alive, but I can also understand his pain burying his brother,
Yes.
I mean, like I was just telling you, Femi, I was my own dad's pallbearer. Lived a long life. He was sick for a very long while, but you still don't want to lose somebody very dear to you. And God only knows what he's going through his mind. And he's still in recovery himself. But we're also trying to see what will be the reports. I think they've been able to get back some of the flight data recorders.
Yeah, the black box,
and it's going through examination now. Then also, let's also look at safety records of Air India, because I also hear there's another Air India employee I think it had to be grounded for some checks and things like that. So there was a bomb scare. So all of these are happening at the same time, but let us get to the end of the investigation before we say anything. But it's really sad one, the human cost.
Yeah.
And he must count himself really lucky,
Yes.
that he survived that. A lot of people don't live to survive that.
Yes.
Probably the only person that I've seen one-on-one that survived the plane crash was Mr. Ifeni.
Oh, really? He's told the story.
He's told the story many times. So.
Yeah, 270 people died from this plane crash, Vimbai. And when we first heard the story, there were reports that he jumped off the classic. Tuesday, June 17th, marked 67 years since its first publication in London in 1958. Things Fall Apart was first published in London by Heinemann. The novel tells the story of Okonkwo, a proud Igbo warrior whose life unravels as British colonial rule and Christian missionaries begin to disrupt traditional society. In the novel, Chinua Achebe captures the deep cultural clash between indigenous African values and Western influence. Achebe published Things Fall Apart at the age of 28 while working at the Nigerian Broadcasting Corporation. The novel, translated into over 50 languages with more than 20 million copies sold, follows Okonkwo, a fierce Umuofia leader whose fall mirrors the breakdown of his community amid colonial invasion, rich in Igbo proverbs and traditional structure. The book challenged colonial narratives, offering a bold African perspective at a time when such voices were rare. Chinua Achebe was born in Ogidi, the present-day Anambra State, in 1930. He studied English and history at University College Ibadan. In 2012, Achebe published There Was a Country, a personal history of Biafra. The work reopened the discussion about the Nigerian Civil War. It will be his last publication during his lifetime. Achebe died after a short illness on the 21st of March, 2013, in Boston, United States.
I had never written a novel before. Was it going to be good? Was it going to be successful? I didn't know. But something was pushing me, as it were. That was what I wanted to do, to produce a story about my people, which was unique to them. It's never been done before.
A true legend. Achebe also wrote other acclaimed novels, including No Longer at Ease in 1960 and Arrow of God in 1964, which together form the African trilogy. Things Fall Apart was one of my favorite series to watch. The first time I ever experienced the great legend, Peter Doce. Did you ever watch Things Fall Apart, the actual series itself? I mean, but this man has gifted us a novel, a classic of a lifetime.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to hear the story behind it, because often when you create something, in the process of creation, you have no idea how it's going to be received. Right. Oftentimes when you create anything, whether it's some food, whether it's a news report, you think, okay, this is going to do really well, and perhaps it doesn't. So it is refreshing to hear him say he had no idea how it was going to be received, but he just wanted to do it anyway. Mm-hmm. And when we look at how it was received, it is one of the greatest pieces of African literature of all time, and for it to have come from a Nigerian, it is just something that transcends time. My mother read it when she was in school as well. It's a copy of a book that is in all of our homes, and I think that many Nigerians, many Africans around the world should be proud to hold a copy too.
Really proud.
Speaking of it, Femi, you too, you're a legend. You know, you as an Ijebu man, you created one of the greatest, documentary about our history with your Judeoba Festival. That will be a classic for so many years. And so thank you. I mean, he was a man that saw the future. Absolutely. He wrote a book where a lot of people thought that he had known that Nigeria was going to have crisis and the wars and everything. He told the story at an era where things were very difficult. Apart from Things Fall Apart, there were many other people that told stories around that era, the likes of Amos Tutuola, Odegbami, and the likes. And it has morphed into a national treasure, a worldwide treasure. In fact, I think it was voted first 20 of the best books of that last, the last century. That's what Things Fall Apart was voted. It's been translated into many languages. People read it all around the world. And they've turned things, it's a culture. The question I want to ask is, Oji, great series and reruns like Things Fall Apart, why doesn't NTA produce them any longer? NTA and the likes of, Eddie Rowe and other top, producers in NTA used to produce all these series, Zebrodaya and the other thing, and Village Headmaster. NTA was a treasure. But a lot of people don't know that words like Amebo, Gorimakpa came from Village Headmaster. They should be able to sell the rights of some of these things.
Yes.
These are some of the ideas. In fact, I want Ms. Musa that I met, by the way, she was so kind in Abuja the other day. They should get the rights like this from the NTA, propagate it, sell it it's part of our Nigeria historical history. Beautiful. And these are some of the great ideas that I think that she will implement and she should implement. But this is a treasure. This is a treasure.
Well,
and see, recently, I was in a program where we celebrated James Joyce's book, Ulysses. In fact, we should have a Things Fall Apart Day, where Nigerian embassies around the world will call other people and they will celebrate Things Fall Apart.
Fantastic.
It's a
Kudos. I love that.
Zimbabwe as well. It's a set book in many African countries. Yes,
so
O-levels.
in fact, we should start by having a Things Fall Apart Day, where readings of Things Fall Apart are held, just like the Irish do with Ulysses of James Joyce.
Yeah. The legend, Chinua Achebe, has also won numerous awards, really. All we can say is thank you. We'll take our good news report now. Nigeria is celebrating a major cultural victory, the return of 119 Benin bronzes from the Netherlands. It is the largest repatriation since the 1897 British looting of the Benin Kingdom. Well, the artifacts, some dating back to between the 14th and 16th centuries, were officially handed over at the National Museum in Lagos on Tuesday, marking a significant step in global efforts to return looted African heritage. The Dutch Consul General in Lagos, Michael Deeling, said the return reflects the Netherlands' policy on colonial-era restitution and follows detailed research into the artifact's origins. He called it a gesture of goodwill and proof of strong ties between both nations, citing President Tinubu's recent visit to The Hague. In a joint statement, Nigeria's Museum Commission and the Dutch Embassy praised the move as the result of years of collaboration and shared commitment to justice. Proper antique, like you said. I wanted to highlight most of the bronzes that were returned. Vimbai, really quickly, isn't this such a brilliant?
Incredible. And I love this because this is a reminder that despite what the world tries to paint Africa as, Africa is not poor. Africa is not the bottom of the world, the third world, the whatever. Because if you read the story of what led to these artifacts being robbed from us, it was because the Kingdom of Benin had actually massacred some of the British troops who were coming without permission of entering the kingdom, just to show you the prowess that the Kingdom of Benin had in terms of even warfare. That's why they had to attack and then rob us, because they knew we were superior in our own way. So let them come home so that we can be reminded that, in fact, well, no matter what the world tries to paint us as, we are respectable, we are excellent, we are creative, we are empowered in our own way, and we shouldn't allow anybody out there to do it. They can, whether it's by visa or whether they can keep their visas. We have so much wealth right here, and it's time for us to celebrate it and embrace it.
I love that.
In fact,
we have so
Lancelot
much
Maswe put together a movie. It's called 1897: The Invasion, on the Benin, the massacre that led to this and the British coming to steal our material. So Lancelot Maswe's movie is also apt. Yeah.
We have so much wealth, like our favorite Nigeria wife has said. We welcome our bronzes, really. Shall we take our final story now under entertainment? U.S. filmmaker and TV mogul Tyler Perry is facing a $260 million lawsuit from actor Derek Dixon.